We are not alone. We live in God's world. We believe in God who has created and is creating, who has come in Jesus, the Word made flesh, to reconcile and make new, who works in us and others by the Spirit. We trust in God. We are called to be the church, to celebrate God's presence, to live with respect in creation, to love and serve others, to seek justice and resist evil, to proclaim Jesus crucified and risen, our judge and our hope. In life and death, in life beyond death, God is with us. We are not alone. Thanks be to God. And now we'll receive nominations for the election of a meeting chairperson.
Willie Kozakowski, I will nominate Renee McKenzie for the position of chairperson for the annual general meeting.
I'll second that, Allison Sarr.
Thank you. Are there any others? Any other nominations from the floor? Or from the Zoom, I should say. Any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? We have to call 3 times for nominations, so hearing none, can I get approval of this motion to accept Renee McKenzie as the chairperson for this annual meeting? Just a show of hands, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I believe we're good there. Okay, and so I'm going to turn it over to Renee. She's going to remove her mask, and I'm going to move out of the way further so that we're safe here. Okay.
All right, I'm going to call for nomination and election of the meeting secretary. We can receive nominations for the election of a meeting secretary at this time.
Hi, sorry, it's Maxine. I nominate April Kozar for the meeting secretary.
I'll second that.
All right, any other nominations for this meeting secretary? Any other nominations for the meeting secretary? Any other meeting secretary nominations? No other nominations, so a show of hands, please. 4. Looks like it's carried. Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, so then I'll need a motion regarding voting privileges, and that's the adherents who contribute regularly to the support of the Westminster United Church be given the ability to speak and be granted voting privileges on temporal matters. This is the bylaw in 113.
I'll make that motion that members and adherents have voting privileges.
I'll second that.
Seconder. And this is just a motion, so it doesn't need to be 3 times. So all in favor? Looks pretty good. Looks like it's carried. Thank you. Okay. And then a motion regarding the agenda that the order of worship for March 21st, 2021 be the agenda for this annual meeting.
I will make the motion that the order of worship for March 21st be the agenda for this meeting.
A seconder?
I will second that motion. Ruth Mostoy.
Thank you, Ruth. All in favor? Looks like everybody. Thank you, that's carried. Okay. All right, so a motion of regarding the minutes, that the minutes of the last annual congregational meeting on March 8th of 2020 be approved as circulated. And I'm sure everyone got that emailed.
I will make that motion.
Thank you, Max. Seconder?
And I will second it, Carol Gossner.
Thank you, Carol. And everybody had a chance to review those minutes. All in favor? Carried. Okay. All right. Business arising from the minutes. A is the Church Council tabled a motion from 2020 annual general meeting regarding the tender of a financial auditor, and Ilan is going to speak to that.
Good morning, folks. You can hear me?
Very well.
Okay, thank you. So at the 2020 AGM, a motion was made and passed that we would put the review of the 2020 financials out to tender, given the rising cost of line 5810, which is our auditor or our review by an outside party. At the January council meeting in 2021, council passed a motion to table this motion into tender indefinitely, given the current circumstances and anomalies with the with all the things happening in 2020, which included the pandemic, the lack of capacity and time at present to go through a tendering process, and the resigning of our bookkeeper at the end of 2020. So I guess I'm moving that we continue to table this motion from the 2020 annual meeting regarding the tender of a financial auditor.
And a seconder, please.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Max. All in favor? Looks like it's carried. Thank you. All right, on to new business. The first item is approval of a change in the Westminster United Church structure document, and Willie will speak to this.
April's going to show us, I believe, a share screen with us. It's just a small change in the structure document that Council is recommending to be forwarded for approval. What is basically the gist of the whole thing is that the caretaking duties will be removed from the property coordinator's responsibilities. It's in the word cleanliness is taken out of number C, and D is completely removed. It just says that it was overseen by the property coordinator. Now, if you can go to the others, okay, this is the ministry, and it's moving. The ministry and personnel will be overseeing contract, or will be overseeing the contract supplied by the janitorial services, and which right now is Debbie Dust at this point, but it's just moving who's responsible for them, for the duties and maintaining that position. So with the with that, I'm going to just move that the structure document be changed as recommended.
And a seconder?
I will second it.
Thank you, Ruth. All in favor? Looks good. Well, looks approved. Thank you. The second item under new business is the approval of the covenant with Living Skies Regional Council, presented by Allison.
Hi. Do you have the document, April, that you can share? So this document was part of the annual general meeting package, and basically what it is just a renewal of the covenant between Westminster Community of Faith and Living Skies Regional Council, which was formerly Saskatchewan Conference, and our covenant used to be with Riverbend Presbytery. So it's really an updating based on the information that the changes in governance of the United Church of Canada. So most of it is a template, but down by the community of faith, we had the opportunity to look at who we are and describe ourselves. It's been quite a few years since we did that. And so the covenant includes noting what our governance is, that we use the manual and we use a church council model. It states our mission statement, our vision statement, which is journeying together, and our motto, which is Westminster, the church that serves. And so some of the things that our committee was able to focus on as a community of faith were the most important, we thought, was that we work towards building a sense of community between people that's loving, welcoming, and inclusive. We celebrate, acknowledge, and share joys and sorrows together. And then some of the things that are really important to us are the commitment to mission and service, and locally, and outreach is also carried out by Westminster's Healing Path and Spiritual Care team. Our social justice work includes the affirming community of faith and the work that we're doing towards coming affirming. And also that also includes anti-racism work. Our Christian education program is important to us. And we also made note that our church building as an asset is used for outreach. We host several groups free of charge, the grief support group, the healing ministry, Rainbow Youth. And yeah, and so just recognizing that recently we've spent quite a bit of energy and funds directing it to upgrading our building. And we look forward to making Westminster a hub of good work in the wider community. And then some other points we noted was that we're working ecumenically with St. Andrew's Anglican Church, and we want to continue to do that. We're working with Quill Plains Pastoral Charge. We've invested in technology and education. We've provided online worship, not just to our community, but to neighboring United Church and people beyond our faith community. We sponsor First Westminster South Scouts Group, the Humboldton Area Refugee Coalition, and then there are several other groups that members of our community serve on as reps from Westminster, including the Humboldton Area Pride Network, the Humboldt Ministerial Association, the Age Friendly Committee. And we have also worked in the past with Food Bank, Partners Family Services, Soup Kitchen, Habitat for Humanity, SPCA, and we continue to do that as opportunities arrive. We promote participation in the youth ministry of the regional council, and will pay assessments as owed to Living Skies Regional Council. And then, of course, the regional council makes promises to us as well in human resource, property, archives, training for ministry personnel, funding partnerships with the United Church, specialized technical and professional services, yeah, and just more things that the regional council promises to us, ongoing communication, and just development of local clusters and networks, lift up different parts of our group. So I would like to move that this has come to Westminster Council before, and so I would like to move that this covenant that we would like to enter into with Living Skies be by the membership of Westminster.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Tyler. Any discussion? The questions for Allison?
Did a good job, Allison.
Well, you guys, it's so wonderful to be part of a congregation like this. And when we get to put it all in a summary like that, it's great.
All right. And so we will make a motion, or sorry, we will vote on the approval of this covenant. All in favor? Looks like it's carried. Judy, quick vote. Oh. She was up and sat down. All right, it's carried. Thank you. All right. So on now to the annual reports Q&A, and that those 2020 reports were circulated as part of the package. And is there any questions about any of those reports? Okay, so then we will have a motion, please, to accept that these 2020 reports be accepted as circulated.
I will make that motion that the 2020 reports, annual report be accepted.
Seconder, please.
I will second that.
Thank you, Ruth. All in favor? It's carried. Hey Lou, when you're chewing your cookies, can you mute your microphone?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you. They look good and you better share. All right, on to the 2020 financial report with Q&A, which Ilan will present.
Okay, yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say other than what I put in my report. 2020 was definitely a year that was a tough one to budget for. Certainly some reduced revenues because we couldn't rent our facility. We weren't able to have a lot of the fundraisers that we typically have, and funeral and weddings were kind of on hold. But on the other side of things, I was really pleased with all the good things that were able to happen. At the end of the day, we paid all our bills and met all our commitments. I knew cash flow would be somewhat of an issue, but we were able to borrow from our savings from the building account. So we really didn't have to do anything too crazy beyond that. We were looking at other options, whether we would need to borrow money, increase our line of credit, but we didn't need to do that. So I would just entertain any questions that folks may have about our 2020 financials. Hearing none, I would then move that the financial summary be accepted as presented in the annual reports.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? It's carried. The next item is the appointment of an auditor, and Ilan is going to present on this one.
Okay, so further to what I spoke to earlier, that at the 2020 AGM, there was a motion that had been made and passed that we would put the review of the 2020 financials out to tender, giving the rising cost of line 5810, and then the subsequent decision to put that motion on hold indefinitely. For 2020's financial items or reports, I would move that the congregation approve church council to make the decision for this year around hiring an auditor to do an independent review of the financial statements for 2020. Sorry, that should say 2021.
I will second that motion. Willie Kuzikowski.
Thank you, Willie. Any discussion around this topic? All right, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, and then the next item is the 2021 proposed budget Q&A, and Alana is going to present.
Okay, I'm just going to share my screen. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, but I'm certainly prepared to answer any questions that folks have regarding the detail. Our offerings is going to be, of course, our main source of income. Our mission and service is always an in-out, and I was very pleased that in 2020 we were able to meet and actually exceed what we had budgeted for that. We still have a collaborative ministry agreement in place with Quill Plains Pastoral Charge. We do anticipate that our fundraising won't be as high. We probably won't be able to have a full-blown fall supper, but we did bring our fundraising up again. We know we're doing some methods around what's allowed within the pandemic. Church rental, we're anticipating that will be down. It's already, we're the third I guess, finishing up the first quarter, and we know we just haven't been able to rent our building quite as much as we have in the past. And also anticipating weddings and funerals will be reduced for the next little while. Now, under improvements income, I don't have anything put in the budget here because of it's sort of outside operating, but we do anticipate that probably we'll need about $3,700 to do some improvements into our building. We've got some fire code regulations that we need to upgrade. So from that perspective, we'll probably tap into some of our reserves or special funds to do that. So we've budgeted a total income of $133,300. And I'm going to skim through the expenses for the most part. Council really went through and tried to skim or to tighten up expenses as much as possible. And knowing that we're not able to do as much with all the regulations, we know that we won't be able to spend as much money there. 5120 is the money that we pay to regional council. It used to be called presbytery, and that assessment comes to us from the national church, and it is down for 2021. So that's, I guess, nice from that perspective. Property is always kind of a big expense. Janitorial supplies continue to increase in cost, and they tend to be a little more critical that we're using things like gloves and special cleaners and stuff. So that's a little bit higher. Insurance is continually creeping up, so we've budgeted for that. Phone, power, energy, and water, sewer, I mean, those things tend to go up, but with reduced building usage, I mean, there's that variable component with it as well. And here we're showing the blank for the building fund, but chances are that'll be that in out of the improvements. So that would be outside of the operations, but that'll be the 3,700 is what we've sort of budgeted or estimated for doing these fire code upgrades. I'm going to just skim through stewardship. That's a fairly small budget item, although very, very important to the work of our church. Mission or ministry and personnel, of course, is always our big line item. And I'll just share that we have budgeted $8,000 for the janitorial services. However, we're really anticipating that that'll be quite a bit less, especially as our building's not being used as much. But we're finding that the contract is allowing us to have less monthly costs than anticipated. Again, the continuing education and resources, I'll skip through that one because it's nothing too major. And then some of our making connections and outreach activities. We had hoped to do a blanket exercise in 2020. We don't anticipate that we'll be able to do one 2021, but we're hoping for next year when things open up. And I just wanted to highlight things like the Healing Pathways and Affirm team. There is, again, small amounts that are budgeted to them, but those groups have also brought funds into our church. So really it's money that they've already earned into our church community. And under office, we are expecting a little bit more in terms of communications. That's our website and Zoom and online stuff. So that's important. And so when I keep talking 5810, the auditor or accountant review, that one's been going up. And of course, if we can maybe tender that out, given all the circumstances, we'll certainly look to see if we can reduce that as well. In terms of the bookkeeper, those funds basically, or those typical budgeted funds, will be moved into our office administrator because that's going to be part of payroll now. M&S remittances are an in-out. So our total expenses are just under 150,000, which means that we're looking at a deficit budget of about 15,000. That's probably something we can get through for 2021. It's not something we can continue to do long term. I would, say we continue to talk with and work with Quill Plains, with St. Andrew's Anglican Church, And I think it's important that we continue to do those things forward, because I you know, it's just not sustainable long term, but we need to keep working at that. So with that, I would entertain any questions that folks might have about it overall, or any particular detailed items.
I know council has discussed this budget a lot, and so it's something that to be noted, that we are cognizant of the deficit, and that we're really, I think, committed to trying to eliminate it and bring ourselves back into the black. But again, Rome wasn't built in a day, and the year has been beyond what is expected, and so it will take some time, but it's definitely our intention to improve this bottom line. Yeah, and stewardship is our focus again. So without any further discussion, Elan, do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I will move that the 2021 proposed budget be accepted as presented.
And I, Carol Gossner, will second that motion.
And all in favor? Looks like it's carried.
Okay, we're just shifting here a little bit, because I'm going to help Maxine Messenchuk to do the nominations report. So just hang on here. All right, and so Maxine is going to present our nominations report for us.
In light of COVID, a request was made to the holders of positions to consider taking on another term or extending their term for the next year, 2021, until we can get through the pandemic. We seek approval of the following nominations report. Reappointments, chairperson is Renee McKenzie. She's beginning her term as chairperson 1 year ahead, with the term ending in 2023. Christian Education, Jacqueline Suter Elliott, staying on the end of 2022. Ministry and Personnel Committee, Willie Kozakowski continuing with his second term and date 2022. Debbie Saar renewing for the second term with end date 2023. And Linda Johnson continuing with first term and end date is 2022. Regional Council Representative Allison Saar renewing for the third term of 2 years with end date 2023. Secretary, myself, continuing with the first term ending 2022. Stewardship, Education and Outreach, Sarah Miller, continuing with first term and end date 2022. Ruth Mostaway continuing with first term and end date 2022. Treasurer, Elan Bowan, appointment extended to 2022. Worship and Membership, Carol Gossner renewing for the third term of 2 years with end date of 2023. Youth Representative, Tyler Scogan, staying on with the end date 2022. Board of Trustees, appointments without term dates, Paul Nishaw is the chair, Dale Avison, Paula Schuler, and Bill Gerla. Hospitality Convening Group, appointments without term dates, Sherry Hogerman, Linda Kozakowski, Priscilla Blakely, Judy Lowe, Bev Lee, and Dolores Serencu. Planned Giving appointments without term dates, Carol Alexon, Barb Knittig, and Connie Daniluk. Cradle Roll appointments without term date, Connie Daniluk. Music Ministry appointment without term date, Allison Saar. Kitchen Conveners appointments without term date, Carol Alexon and Barb Knittig. Card Ministry appointment without term date, Judy Lowe. Westminster Affirm Team appointment without term date, Allison Saar Chair, Tyler Scogan, Carol Hoffus, and Clark Curtis. Lou Moore and Renee McKenzie. Westminster Spiritual Care Team, April Kozar, Lou Moore, Debbie Saar, Ruth Mostaway, Mary Ruthven, and Doug Birdser. So appointments to vacant positions, Vice Chair, Linda Johnson will move to chairperson in 2023. Property coordinator, Kevin Ackerman, term ending 2023. Regional rep position is vacant. Appointments to newly formed task groups, committees, finance, Jim Sarr, start date 2021, and Dick Craddock, start date 2021. Christian education, Eugene Parkwat, start date 2021. Jillian Sukin, same date. Carla Hulls, same date. Property, Grant Hoffman, start date was 2020. Larry Bale, start date 21. Dale Avison, start date 21. And Ken Lee, start date 21. Stewardship and outreach, there's no new people on there so far. Worship and membership, Joanne Beal. I would like to thank those who have served and completed their terms. Murray Stevens completed his term in 2021 as property coordinator. Mary Ruthven resigned as church council chair December 20th, 2020, sorry. Carol Alexon resigned from Westminster Spiritual Care Team in 2020. We would also like to thank those who have extended or taken on additional term. And finally, we would like to thank those who are being appointed to new positions and task groups for being willing to serve service in this way. Reminder, existing vacancies and committee members. We continue to welcome all people in our faith community to participate in the life and work of the church in the ways that you feel called to. If you're interested in any of the current vacancies or in serving on a task group or committee, please contact any member of the nominations committee, myself, Sarah Miller, and Renee McKenzie. The nominations committee will continue to seek people to fill vacant positions and serve as committee members until the end of April 2021. After this, you are invited to contact the church office to talk to any member of church council about your interest in serving. So I will make a motion that the nominations report be approved as presented.
And I will second the emotion. Sorry, the motion, not the emotion.
Thank you, Carol. And any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. And last thing on the agenda is any emergent business, and it's blank at this time. Does anybody have anything to bring up?
Yes, Renee, Willie Kozakowski here. I just want to say a few words to pass along a few words of thanks to some people here. First of all, special thanks to Reverend Brenda for being resilient and continuing to provide us with strong spiritual leadership and guidance in the face of the raging pandemic. To April, our office administrator, for her dedication and her willingness to adjust to all the challenges brought on by COVID, especially in the media and technology areas. To Mary Ruthven and Renee McKenzie for leading church council over this past year, a year of unforeseen issues created by COVID. Along with those individuals just mentioned, I want to send thanks to our church treasurer, church council members, committee members, task group members, our recently contracted janitor, Debbie Dust, and to all those who have supported and continue to support Westminster United Church.
Thank you, Willie. That was very nice and good to hear. And yeah, exactly. Everybody who's played a part in continuing this community and helping this community moving forward. Heartfelt thank you from Willie, from the council, from everyone. So thank you to everyone. And I don't think we need to make a motion on that. I think that's just carried. So is there any other emergent business to discuss? Would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn this annual general meeting?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Tyler. Any seconder? Don't need a seconder? Happy dance. This meeting is adjourned.
Okay, so thank you everyone for being part of the meeting.